It's a big recruiting weekend, a lot going on.
Yes.
Headlined by Carter Nelson, but I do want to get into Grant Bricks too. But headline number 2, can Nebraska close the deal on Carter Nelson this weekend? There are a lot of promising clues, I guess you could say. Number 1, I'll start with Memorial Day weekend. Daniel Kalen and Carter Nelson spent time together in Lincoln. They keep regular communication. This past week, Daniel Kalen and Carter Nelson have been together all week in Omaha. They went to the College World Series together. They were in Lincoln on Thursday night. They'll be in Lincoln all weekend with Dave On and Isaiah McMorris. This is fresh off Georgia, Penn State, and Notre Dame. His 3 visits he's taken before Nebraska. Are these relationships enough to help Matt Rhule close the deal on Carter Nelson?
Well, Nelson, the reason you got to start off with the fact he's a top-rated player in the state. And there is, there's some pressure to get him, right? Of course there is. There should be some pressure on the tight ends coach to get this kid locked down. This is the kind of, not just because he's the number 1 player in the state. Georgia is setting aside a spot for him. And I think when we went to Ainsworth to visit with him, you could tell it wasn't going to be easy for Nebraska. That this wasn't this was not going to be a gimme putt. That you could tell from his answers that this was something that he was going to think through, Carter Nelson. We went up there in January, correct?
Yeah, January, right as things kind of took off.
Right. But it was immediately.
Or was it February?
It might have been February. It was the winter.
It was February.
There's about 12 inches of snow up there. But I think you came away with it from it the same way I did. He was very guarded, right? It was just very clear that he didn't want to say too much about anything. He's very affable, but he chose his words very carefully. He was really good at it. Like he was coached through it. I don't know if he was or not. He just might be very intelligent, which, by the way, is a good sign. He's an intelligent kid.
There's just a lot of things that I think Nebraska has an advantage on. Number 1, obviously, these relationships with the guys I talked about. Does he have those kind of relationships with the other recruiting classes? I don't know that, but I would not think so. The distance, just thinking about if his family ever wanted to see him play, it'd be very difficult where they live in Ainsworth to get to a lot of these places regularly.
To Georgia.
He's got a girlfriend, I believe, that's a Wayne State volleyball player.
Okay.
So there's a lot of factors involved here that helps Nebraska, and can they close it though? That is the key. And I think Matt Rhule understands what this would mean. I think this would give them another bell cow. It would be by far their highest ranked recruit in the class, to get him. And it would boost their class up 2 or 3 or 4 spots. Right now, today, they went from 30 to 22 with these commits today.
Right. So it'd be important right out of the gate. Then you just got to kind of see what kind of football player he evolves into. But right out of the gate, it'd be important for the program. I know sometimes as sports writers, we just say the blatantly obvious things, but it would be. And it's something to watch very closely.
Yeah, and then I want to bring up Grant Bricks from Logan Magnolia High School in Logan, Iowa. He just visited Alabama on an official visit, not a camp workout or unofficial. Gets an offer from Nick Saban in his office after the visit's over. So Alabama offers Western Iowa native Logan Magnolia. Isn't it amazing? You got an Iowa offensive lineman that the Hawkeyes aren't even in the picture with, and Alabama is in the picture with Nebraska. Now, Kansas State is the perceived leader right now, and the RPM, I think, is fairly accurate at this moment. He's made by far the most visits to any school to Kansas State. He wants to major in agricultural studies, and Kansas State's a great place for that. Nebraska would be a great place for that. Alabama showed him a plan to kind of lay down that idea. I think the thought is he's going to stay closer to home. I think today it's probably more a K-State versus Nebraska battle, but the Alabama offer should get your attention.
Yeah, this is fun, Sean. Top-rated player in Nebraska here this weekend. Top-rated player in Iowa here this weekend. So let's see who can win that battle.
Nebraska's at 17 commits though right now. And,
17.
I think it's fairly foreseeable that they'll be over 20 by the weekend's end. I don't know.
By weekend's end.
Well, yeah, because the dead period. And
Yeah.
I mean, these
but kids can commit during the dead period.
Everyone has this. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
But coaches kind of squeeze it out. I mean,
yeah.
Everyone has this fantasy of recruiting that they want to hold it out as long as they can or take it deep. The process doesn't really allow you to go very deep because of the spots and the transfer portal and the dead period and the visits.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be pretty special to hold it out all the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting point, Sean.
It's like going out with your family on a Friday night and you could get a reservation at a nice restaurant, an open table, but you don't want to take it because you're holding out for that other restaurant.
Yeah.
Hoping that maybe you can slip in that restaurant.
Kind of a risky move.
And you might get a table. You might get a seat at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way,
that's a good one.
Always take a seat at the bar. That's
really?
If you're by yourself, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, if you're by yourself, that's kind of a big if.
That's what I did in College Station.
Really?
When I left you and Greg when we got in about 9:30.
Oh, you just went to the bar.
Went to the Republican Steakhouse and sat at the bar. The Republic.
The Republic. So that's what you did. You just took a seat
at the bar and watched.
And they served you.
And watched an A&M baseball game.
Yeah, and they'll serve you there. I've pondered doing that. There's been times where I thought on a whim I want a steak. And I just thought about going into Outback and sitting at the bar.
That's the way to do it. Go to Misty's, Texas Roadhouse, any of these places like Tavern 180. We're going to Tavern 180 tonight, by the way. That should be good.
Oh yeah, you're living a bigger time life than I am.
You'll be at Chili's,
I think I'm going to a taco food truck at 70th and Havelock is what I'm doing.
And you're in this for the record. Steve's being real. Like
yeah, I am.
This is not like
I'm going to the taco truck at Casey's on 70th and Havelock.
Right, let's go.
And you're going to eat Wagyu steak. I got to change up my life a little bit, Sean.